Now, in a few minutes, I will play you a video shot by an eyewitness, a new video that was only just released, and it shows the building and the rooftop where the shooter was. And it also shows that the shooter actually turned to them and threatened them, or at least gazed at them. And then you hear the gunshots. Now, there's two things that you have to remember when you see the video, and you can play it in slow-mo using Chrome, or you can rewind and watch it over and over again and come to your own conclusions about it. Number one, the red oval indicates where the Secret Service had a command center. Now that's elevated, and I'm showing the same room or window and the position of the shooter. So if you're looking outside of that window you're at 10 o'clock, you can see the shooter. And so it's pretty odd that with all the ruckus that you will hear in the video, that nobody in that Secret Service room stuck their head out. It's human nature, right? To look out the window and what's going on. But it's almost like they knew there was a shooter out there and they didn't want to know about it. You know, if I didn't look and see, then I didn't see it. And it's an elevated position. They have perfect view of the shooter, but also of the ruckus outside and the people pointing. And I don't know if they were drinking Pepsi and eating Doritos and playing Nintendo, but it's pretty odd they didn't stuck their head out. Now, the second thing to notice is that the guy turns to the people there, threatening them, and then he gets back into position. But if you listen to the gunfire, it's almost like a split second after he returns to his position that you hear gunfire. Now, we know that the first shot on President Trump was a headshot, a perfectly aimed shot, like perfect, like his head 150 yards away. You're not going to tell me this 20-year-old was threatening the people there, gets back into position in like a millisecond and delivers a perfect headshot. That just isn't possible. But you can hear the difference in gunfire because the first gunshots are different than the burst of gunfire that comes afterwards. So I'm saying that this shooter did not shoot the first shots, certainly not the first shot, and then he joined in. And that's when you hear the staccato, right? And that's him firing. So he saw that other people already started shooting, so he joined in. That's what I'm hearing. So I'm just going to let you listen to a couple of videos and you can watch them and rewind them and draw your own conclusions, right? But keep those two things in mind, especially considering the Secret Service was in that room with that window just a few feet away from the shooter. If that's not suspicious, then I don't know what else would be.
You know, so he and his partner seem to be sighting.
Yeah, they're both on glass looking at something.
Okay. He looks out and then the shot happens. He flinches and he deflects the barrel. So he's at that point not in a position to take the shot. This is not the team that took the shot. The team that took the shot was the Southern team. Here's what they look like. So, Jack, the Northern team has got ball caps. And you can see plainly on their plate carrier, police, Secret Service.
Yep.
Right. So ball caps. Again, what kind of rifle are they using?
This is, I believe it's a 300 Win Mag that they're using.
What jumps out at me is how short the magazine is. So how many rounds do we think might be in that magazine?
Usually it's going to be a 5-round magazine, and that's what it looks like there in the picture.
Guys who actually took the shot were these guys. So just note, these guys are wearing the floppy hats, not ball caps. Their camo is different. They don't have T-shirts on. They have, tactical shirts with long sleeves. I can't make out what is on the badge at that one guy's hip or any of their patches, but this could be a different outfit, one of the local, and
Yeah.
by local, maybe state police, maybe Butler Township. I don't know if Butler Township has a counter sniper unit.
Yeah, I'd guess state level. The badge being shown. I don't think these are Secret Service guys.
So just note that these guys appear to be from a different unit than the Secret Service. Probably the same weapon, the Win Mag there, Jack.
Yeah, most likely.
And the reason that we believe it was the Southern team is, as you look at this orientation here, again, look at the American flag, two barns, north and south. The Northern team's direct line of fire was obstructed by that westernmost tree. And so the shot had to be taken by the Southern CS team.
We're not close. Yeah.
We just obtained exclusive new video of the assassination attempt 10 days ago. It is the clearest and closest video we've seen yet, taken by an eyewitness who was there with his family next to the AGR building as Thomas Crooks opened fire. You can hear 8 shots, what sounds like 8 shots, followed by 2 counter sniper shots, including the kill shot from the Secret Service. Watch and listen. At one point, Thomas Crooks points his rifle at the eyewitness and those rally goers. This is what he told us about security on that day.
Definitely wasn't secure. I'm actually ex-military. One of the first things I noticed when we walked up, I'm like, none of us have been vetted. We're all along the fence. We all have view of the stage. We could see Trump.
Hey, it's me, and welcome to this video. Now, I showed you 3 clips, and I want to explain why I put those 3 clips up. Now, it's very critical that people understand the fact that the Secret Service did not kill the shooter. It wasn't the Secret Service, as the first clip showed. It was the other team, likely. And then you have the clip of the open window on the rooftop that was submitted by a rep who recently visited the rooftop. And that was actually a Secret Service command post. And they had a view of the rally in the distance, but they also had a view of the whole rooftop. Now, if you look out the window, obviously you see part of the rooftop, but even then you can see the tree. And that tree is just on the left of what the shooter can see. So the shooter can see the Trump rally, and just on his left is a tree. Well, there's a tree. So you can see it from the open window, but also it means that if you stick your head outside of that window and you look to the left, you would see the shooter laying there on the slope, because you're on the side of the slope where you can see the body of the shooter, right? Because they're kind of behind and to the right at the shooter's 4 o'clock. And I showed this before in the video. It's very clear that the Secret Service was in there, and it's not something that is contested. And so you have a command post just feet away from the shooter, and when you have all that commotion outside of people screaming, which is the 3rd clip, they didn't even poke their head out of the window to see the shooter and then to neutralize him. Now, if you listen to the chaos, you notice that you have several shots. Now, the commentator is wrong. Secret Service did not take out the shooter. It was likely the local sniper team on the far side of the Trump rally, that barn rooftop. The sniper team 1, the Secret Service snipers, they had a tree that was in the way, blocking their view of the shooter. That's why the shooter chose that location, likely. But if I listen to the shots, it's not possible for the shooter to point his gun at the screaming eyewitnesses down on the ground and then suddenly turn around and execute a perfect headshot, because that was a perfect headshot, except President Trump swiveled his head at the very last moment. Now, the first 3 shots were very accurate, but then you had a barrage of shots that went all over the place in the general area of the podium, and you saw that in several animations that are wrong in some ways, but in some ways they were right. The 5 other shots, because there's a total of 9, 8 shots by shooters or a shooter, and then 1 by the counter sniper team. Not, as this guy's saying, 10 shots. But what you have is the sound of 3 shots that seem to be very measured, almost like somebody who had been there aiming for a long time, not somebody who was just turning around to point his gun at bystanders, then turning around and in a split second executing a perfect headshot. That's just not possible. It's just not possible. But what is possible is that someone, another shooter, took the first accurate shots, and by the time the gunman was back in position after pointing his gun down at the people, he kind of shoot it wildly, like 5 shots or so. And that's what you hear. So you hear boom, 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 which seems to be the accurate shots, and then bam, 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 which is the follow-up by the gunman. So what I'm saying is that from what I hear, and just the general analysis, is that the first shots that were supposed to take out Trump, the headshot, did not come from the gunman. Came from someone behind the gunman, perhaps, but the same area. So the whole building is like a black rock compound, I call it. You had many windows that had the perfect view of the rally. The eyewitnesses said that there was no patrol there. Everybody there was unvetted, next by the fence, 150 yards from the rally. Everyone unvetted. There could have been 20 gunmen there, and the Secret Service somehow was in that command post, drinking Pepsi, eating Doritos. I don't know what they were doing, but it seems to be like they were waiting. So they were not curious about the commotion outside. They did not even look out the window to then on the left see a shooter that they could have neutralized even before he started shooting. No, it's like they were hiding inside on purpose. It's almost like they did not want to know what was going on. Only after the shots, then things happen. So we don't even know who actually took out the gunman. Yeah, it could have been Secret Service, I guess. It could have been the other local sniper team, more likely. But it could have been somebody that is close to the gunman, maybe in the back of him. Maybe they were there to let him shoot first and then to take him out. Or the person in the water tower, if there was such a person. And a lot of it is circumstantial evidence. I hope more evidence comes out, because the media is really treating this like this was just a heckler at a Trump rally and he was escorted out by the Secret Service. And that's it. That's a wrap. Because you notice that the FBI said that this guy acted alone, a lone gunman, right? And they said this within 24 hours, even before they broke into his phone. So they have sabotaged their own investigation by eliminating so many different avenues to investigate by saying this was a lone gunman. Now, Cheeto, the Pepsi person that was testifying in Congress, or, better said, was not testifying, wouldn't answer any questions. She reverted everything to the investigation of the FBI and also their own investigation, which, of course, would take 60 days, 2 months, to answer any basic questions, right? So she was unprepared. She didn't bring any materials. She did not know anything. She referred everything to the FBI. So she was actually asked, did this guy act alone? And she goes, I referred to the FBI. And the FBI already said he acted alone. Later, she was asked if there was a conspiracy to assassinate President Trump. And she said, absolutely not. How does she know? If for everything else she has to refer to the FBI or an investigation that would take another 2 months, for that one thing, she is so sure that this gunman acted alone. There was no conspiracy to assassinate President Trump. So something smells fishy. Something smells rotten in Denmark, or you could say in the Secret Service, and DHS and the FBI. But we already know that, because we're talking about people that framed President Trump with Russiagate, spied on the Trump campaign, on Trump, on his family, people associated with the campaign. They made up a fake dossier together with foreign spies. They paid off people for that dossier. Then the media and the Mueller probe harassed all these people. They even threw people in jail, and they all deleted their phones. And you remember the January 6th committee, when they also got people thrown in jail and harassed the Trump people and Trump himself. They also deleted all the evidence. Now, it turns out that the Secret Service director said that there's no communications of the Secret Service of the day in Butler with the assassination attempt. Yeah, so all that information was deleted or was not even used, no communications, but obviously there were communications, but all those files have been deleted. That's very interesting because you see a pattern here. These people are going after Trump and then deleting all the evidence later on. Well, it turns out Cheadle, the director of the Secret Service, was also involved in January 6, 2021. And at that time, the Secret Service also deleted all their communications. So going back to the Mueller probe, the Russiagate people, January the 6th, and of course the Butler event, they're all deleting the evidence. And because you have DHS, the FBI, and the Secret Service involved in January the 6th, which was like a giant ambush and trap where they could jail people and try to accuse President Trump of something to help along the lawfare, then you realize, of course, these people can also take the next step, right? If the lawfare all failed, Russiagate failed, impeachments failed, then you go to an assassination, a black op. And a black op is defined as a government entity or another group assassinating someone and having the cover story, meaning somebody else is seen as the killer and you stay in the shadows. Nobody knows that you're behind it all. And that's what we're seeing here with the Butler assassination attempt. Everybody's talking about the gunman, right? Oh, it's a lone gunman. He acted alone in AR-15, and look at his, teenage high school picture. And this is just another deranged kid doing a mass shooting. And we have to ban AR-15s, and we have to get rid of the Second Amendment. That's basically the story, right? But still, they're treating it like it was just kind of like a heckler that was caught, and they're moving on. And right away, they get rid of Biden. Suddenly, the camel toe is about to become president. And so you can see these people are not interested in democracy. They've given up on democracy because with our constitutional republic and, playing it fair and square, they will lose every time. They want to hold on to power. So they'll do anything, including getting rid of President Trump, forever. President Trump was not supposed to leave Pennsylvania alive. He was supposed to be dead. Now, for some reason, these major networks got a heads up to carry that rally live, which they never want to do because they don't want to promote Trump. But for this rally, they somehow did. Now, the Butler rallies are always very large, right? You remember the 2020 Halloween rally? That was amazing, right? The crowds there. So it's not in the interest of the MSM to carry such a rally live. It would show just how much support President Trump has. But for this Butler rally, they insisted to carry it live. Now, you notice that the assassination attempt happened within 11 minutes of Trump speaking. So it's not like the networks had to carry an hour of President Trump speaking to wait for the quote-unquote mystery event X. It happened pretty quickly, after 10 minutes. And it was supposed to be a headshot. And it was. Just the swivel of the head saved President Trump's life, and then ducking down. But there was supposed to be a headshot on Trump live on these major networks, something that would live on, right? So the shock of it, and they wanted people to see Trump killed with a headshot. They wanted people to see that live on TV. That's how evil these people are. And again, that's circumstantial evidence that these networks somehow knew. Did the DHS people or FBI people give them a heads up? Who gave those networks the heads up that they suddenly want to have that rally carried live? Very suspicious, right? But coming back to the gunshots, the analysis made by some experts are very convincing that you had at least 2 separate weapons, and then the third weapon, which is the sniper taking out the gunman. So you have kind of like an audio fingerprint or some kind of ballistics that shows that you have different rifles being used, right? Now, that new footage that I showed at the beginning of this video with the chaos, you can really hear the different gunshots. I heard 3 different weapons. The first one seems to be, like I said, determined, steady shots, like somebody that was aiming for a long time, then taking the shot, then somebody firing in a wild way, kind of, in that direction, and the bullets showed that. You know, they went over Trump, on the left, on the right. It was kind of like a hail of bullets instead of the first 3, which seemed to be aimed and very accurate. And then the sniper taking out the gunman. Now, that could have been somebody in the back, could have been somebody from the water tower, could have been sniper team 1, could have been the local sniper team. We don't even know at this point. A lot of it is circumstantial evidence. But what we do know is that you had this gunman on the rooftop, and just feet away, you have a Secret Service command post. And for some reason, they were not even curious about the guy on the rooftop. And that brings me to the worst of it, a possible stand-down order. Now, you know, the Choco regime, the Barack Obama regime, gave new engagement orders for the troops in Afghanistan at the time. So they had to allow the Taliban to shoot first before our troops could fire at them. So the threat is they shoot. So bullets are flying, so then you know it's a threat. Then they're allowed to shoot back. So we're talking about suicide bombers, we're talking about assault teams that have an advantage because of those new rules of engagement that sabotaged and hampered our own troops. So you're allowing someone to shoot first, and then, only then, is it considered a threat, and then you can return fire. And so if you look at the events in Butler, to me, it seems like these were the Secret Service rules of engagement, maybe only for that specific event, which is the gunman is not to be shot unless he fires first, because then he's deemed a threat. Now, that's what I'm saying, but if you listen to the testimony of the director of the Secret Service recently, she was asked about that. When is it considered a threat? I think it was MTG. Like, the guy has a rifle, he's there, he's aiming, there's a rally, Trump's in the distance. They don't take him out. Why? And she said it's not a threat if somebody has a rangefinder and is walking around in a suspicious way. Okay. But that doesn't explain why you have a guy on the roof aiming and he's not taken out. Somebody gave a stand-down order. And that means that DHS, Secret Service, wanted the gunman to shoot first. And then the gunman can be neutralized. But if you look at what actually happened, the first shot, even the first shot, should have taken out Trump. It was a headshot. And only by luck and divine intervention did Trump survive that shot. But the first three were aimed shots that should have killed President Trump. So there's no time to take him out, even after the first shot. But even the first shot was perfectly aimed. And like I said, this was not a guy turning around, aiming and firing. No, it was something that was so perfect that it almost seems like it was a static rifle. You know, my theory, and this is a theory, I know I'm interjecting my own theory right now, is that in some room they had a tripod set up, they had a sniper rifle aimed and waiting. And so it's inside of the room, open window, you can't see it, right? It's dark inside, but they have a perfect view. I think the first three shots were so perfectly aimed that we're talking about a tripod here. And I think the wild shooting afterwards came from the gunman, the patsy, if you will. And that really corresponds also with the rules of engagement, where you allow the gunman to shoot first. But the first bullets, the first three bullets, the first bullet even, were supposed to take out President Trump with a headshot. So these rules of engagement meant that Trump has to die before you take out the shooter, and that it's not even the only shooter. And so, yeah, what I'm saying is, with what I've seen so far, it's that DHS, the Secret Service, wanted to take out Trump. And the FBI is covering that up, which means that they also wanted that.